Hello, today I'm going to show you how to do Emboss Resist, which I did here on this piece of this card. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside. The first thing I did is I did some embossing on the card base, and I used the vintage wallpaper embossing folder to do this one. I show you how to do this in a different video, so just go to my YouTube site and you'll see how to do that in a different video. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside. Okay, the next step is to take my first edition paper, set that there, and I'm going to use the Dove from Notably Ornate to get my focal piece. So first thing I do is ink up my Dove with the Versamark, and because I have a clear stamp, I can see where I'm going, and so I'll just go down and up. I did cut this 2 1/4 inch circle out with my circle scissors before I stamped on it. So then now that I have the Versamark on there, I'm going to take clear embossing powder, and because I'm using clear powder, it will allow the designer paper, the first edition designer paper from behind, to show through. So next step is I've sprinkled it with my powder. Okay, and this will be loud for a moment while I emboss the shape. You do want to make sure that you do not over emboss, otherwise the powder will just sink back into the paper. So the next step is to take a sponge. The sponges come in a circle like this. However, I cut them into 6 pieces this shaped. So the next step is to take my early espresso ink, and we're going to cover the entire circle with early espresso. I'm going to cover over where I emboss the bird also, because it is a non-porous surface, the embossing powder. It will resist the ink from the early espresso ink. Okay, and then just to make the Dove stand out a bit more, I am going to take a piece of Kleenex or tissue and just wipe off any of the ink from over the clear embossing. So that's how I got my embossed Dove, and that shows the first edition paper through the back side. Okay, the next step, I took the 2 3/8 inch scallop circle punch, and I punched out a scallop circle. Okay, and then let's just adhere the circle to that. There we go. The next step is to take this tag piece, and I cut this tag piece out with the Big Shot using this Sizzlet die, lots of tags. Now because this tag is smaller than my stamp, I don't want it to move around when I'm stamping it. I'm going to just take a little bit of removable adhesive and put that on there. Then I use the birthday greeting from Sincere Salutations, and because I want to hit that the first time, I am going to use my Stamp-A-Majig. I've already prepared my Stamp-A-Majig, ready to go for this. So if you want to see how to use the Stamp-A-Majig, I do have a video showing exactly how to use this tool. So remove that, down and up with the early espresso ink. And then I can just take this off, and I'm going to hit the edges with a little bit of ink to make it stand out. So now I have 2 pieces ready to go onto the card. So the next step will be to take my background piece, this first edition piece. The first thing I did is I took a strip of Pretty in Pink paper, cardstock. I punched it out with the dotted ribbon border punch, and I got this. One of my favorite uses for this punch is to get just to peek one of the edges of the scallop out. So I'm just going to line it up like this, and then we'll tuck the other side underneath like that, so you have just one of the scallops showing. And now I'm going to take my slightly shorter ribbon, and I will adhere it to the top, with mini glue dots. Put one on each end, There we go. Okay, we'll put that on one on each end and just wrap this around the top here. There we go. Just like that. Okay, then the next step is to take my slightly longer piece of ribbon, length of ribbon, and tie it into a knot. And then this does kind of pull a little bit right now. However, after I'm done with the card and adhere it down, it'll hold better. Let's trim that down. Okay, now we're ready to put this onto our card. So here's my card background. Again, I'm going to use mini glue dots. I do like how the mini glue dots hold down paper, especially when I have some tension on it and then some of the embossing, so it's up and down the not completely flat surface. So we'll stick that down there, and there we go. A little bit of pressure to hold. Got that part. Now the next step is to take my sentiment, add a little bit more adhesive because I don't want that to come off while I'm giving it. And then the last step is to add my Emboss Resist piece, and I'm going to do that with dimensionals. I like that it will pop it up over the ribbon, and so it'll still remain flat without looking like it's bulging down. Okay, so just slip that underneath. There we go. And there I have a birthday card with the Emboss Resist. I have the directions and the products used on my blog, www.mystamplady.com. And if you have any questions, be sure to contact me at chris@mystamplady.com. Thank you for watching.